Yeah. I got black, I got white, what you want? Hop outside a ghost and hop up in a fan on. I know I'm about to blow, whoa, whoa, when you done. They try to take my floor, I take their ransom.
All right, guys, welcome back to another podcast here in the communications class. I'm Coach McNabb, joined here with Jalen Mullen, and we're going to talk some basketball today. Starting with girls basketball here at North Davies. We just started practice this week on the 21st. As we start the season, coming in, going back down to 1A this year. Just found out we're going to be hosting the sectional, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll get into the NBA tip-off, which tips off tonight. Jalen and I will discuss some new players on new teams and predictions, and finish with with thoughts on the hometown Pacers. And then we'll talk a little fantasy NBA, just because we both enjoy doing that, and I think it's fun to talk about. So we'll get right into it with the girls basketball. I'll talk briefly on that, and then we'll move on to the NBA. We have three seniors this year on the team: Adrienne Wagler, Ashley Knepp, and Mackenzie Lawyer. All three have been playing, been with us, me and Coach Riggins, for the duration, and this is our third year, as coaches. I'm really looking forward to their leadership and what they bring for the underclassmen and what they bring for the program, and excited for them this year as seniors to kind of see some of that hard work hopefully pay off as they finish out their career here at North Davies. The underclassmen, the junior class has Maddie Miller, Maya Knepp, and Haley Bueller, all three of which have played a lot of varsity basketball, and are going to be relied on a lot again this year to play a lot of minutes and do a lot of different things to help us compete and hopefully win some basketball games. The sophomores and freshmen, there's a lot of youth there, a lot of room to grow and learn, and we have 14 girls total. Somebody to look out for is freshman Maddie Loniger. She handles the ball pretty well. She's a true point guard, and has the opportunity to really step in as a freshman and potentially help us at the varsity level. But we're excited to get going, and we feel like coming back down to 1A at least gives us a better opportunity to compete in the sectional. That 2A sectional is quite loaded, and not that the 1A sectional is certainly not loaded and tough as well, but coming back down to sectional 63 is certainly more for like home for us, and certainly our girls are excited for the opportunity to compete in that Bar Eve Lagodi North Davies atmosphere again. So be looking out for scores and updates, and we'll cover them. We'll cover all the basketball teams on the news, and just wanted to give a quick shout out to the girls team as we get going this year. But I'm going to bring in Jalen now. Jalen, we're going to discuss some NBA thoughts and predictions and things like that. We'll start off with the one thing you're most looking forward to this season, whether it be a team or a player or a duo or whatever that may be. So welcome, Jalen, and let's talk some NBA.
Alrighty. So what mostly everybody's going to be talking about this year is the Battle of Los Angeles between the Lakers and Clippers. Obviously, you got the duo for the Lakers and Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and then the new duo with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. There's a bunch of new duos around the league, that being the Brooklyn Nets with KD and Kyrie. Got
the Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets with Russ and James Harden. The Warriors, which Clay won't be back until probably after the All-Star break, but you got
D'Angelo Russell.
With Steph Curry. It's going to be fun to watch. The NBA is back to where it needed to be before we started the super team creations for the past few years. I think now that the league's pretty equal. I mean, you got a bunch of duos with the big teams, but then you also have teams like For instance, you got the Raptors, you got the 76ers, you got the Trailblazers, you got the Nuggets. I mean, all those teams can compete at a high level. The Trailblazers were in the Western Conference Finals last year with Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum, and they added Hassan Whiteside. So, the league's going to be pretty competitive. And then also we got the new rookie class, which is really hyped up. We got Zion Williamson, who is one of the most hyped up rookies that we've seen since hard telling.
Probably LeBron James.
Yeah, probably LeBron James. He's out, though, for 6 to 8 weeks with a torn meniscus. He just had surgery on that. If he can stay healthy, and that's a big if, because obviously there's a lot of wear and tear on his body since he's so big and he can move so well. If he can stay healthy, he will be a dominant player, but that's a big if. There's also a few other rookies that I'd like to mention who are in my Rookie of the Year contention. I like Ja Morant. He's going to get a lot of PT with the Memphis Grizzlies. They traded away Mike Conley to the Utah Jazz. They'll be another contender. I like Tyler Herro with the Miami Heat. I like R.J. Barrett with the New York Knicks. And then also another one, I like Jordan Poole with the Warriors. I think he'll provide maybe starting to really good minutes off the bench for the Warriors. He can shoot the three ball. He can score points in a hurry. And then there's a bunch of sleepers in the draft, and that's what Jordan Poole kind of reminds me of, along with Carson Edwards. He put up like 10 threes in the third quarter of a preseason game. I mean, guys who can score in bunches. Those are the guys that are basically your steals.
All great insight. Jalen obviously knows more about the NBA than I do. He's very well read and follows it obviously very closely. Talk a little bit, Jalen, about what you feel Romeo Langford will be in the NBA. Obviously, Romeo coming from IU, we have a lot of IU fans in this area, that are going to follow him closely. He only spent 1 year at Indiana, but he certainly, took the high school basketball world on by storm, as a player at New Albany. So, Jalen, talk a little bit about Romeo and what you feel like his game will be like in the NBA.
Romeo Langford, one of the best high school players I've ever been able to watch at the high school level. He's really athletic. He can get to the rim at will. He's a really good player, and I think his shooting goes, they hate on him too much for his shooting. He can shoot. He's not the greatest shooter. It's something that he'll need to work on, but he can shoot if left open. I think Romeo's game will translate really well to the NBA. It'll be interesting to see what exactly the Celtics will do with him, because they have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, who just signed a big extension, 4-year, $115 million deal. Gordon Hayward, who came in last year, I believe it was, or 2 years ago. Two seasons ago.
Broke his ankle game one.
Yep. Has that big contract. They'll have to figure it out. I don't know what they'll do, but if he gets the playing time, I think his game will translate really well to the NBA.
Yeah, Romeo has the knack to get to the rim with anybody. That's certainly one thing that he did well at IU was attack the basket and draw defenders and finish around the basket, and a lot of and one opportunities down around the rim. He's really good at that. Yeah, his shooting, if he can develop any kind of consistent jump shot, that's going to be a two-way threat for him, and potentially be matchup nightmares for a lot of defenders. But looking forward to seeing Romeo and Carson Edwards both on the same team, out of Purdue and IU, coming into an organization like the Celtics, who has so much history. That's a pretty cool thing for those guys. So we'll get into a couple predictions. We don't want to get too long here. We'll talk about our predictions from the East and from the West. Obviously, it's way early it's just going to be what we feel is who the favorites are, and we'll see how it all plays out over the next 6-7 months. But we'll start with the East. I feel like the East is much more from a talent standpoint, less talented than the West. The West is fairly stacked. So we'll start with the East. Obviously, the teams there, the defending champion Raptors, the Milwaukee Bucks are certainly a team to look out for, the 76ers, and I think the Pacers are going to be right there as well in the mix once they get a healthy Oladipo back. I'm actually going to lean towards the Milwaukee Bucks this season. I think they were close last year and just couldn't quite get over the hump. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to have another great opportunity to be MVP again, and I think he gets them to the next level this season and takes Milwaukee to the NBA championship out of the East. Jalen, your thoughts on the Eastern Conference?
You know what? The Milwaukee Bucks are a really good team, but the thing that considers me is their shooting. Giannis can get to the rim at will. He's hard to stop. He had an unbelievable season last year, an MVP season. And Chris Middleton had a really good season, an all-star season. But the thing that bothers me is their shooting. I don't think they have the shooting to get them to where they need to be. They played really well last year, and they still didn't get to where they needed to be. Obviously, Toronto had Kawhi, and the 76ers, I mean, there's a bunch of teams. The 76ers, I say if Ben Simmons ever develops a consistent jump shot, he hit his first three in the preseason.
Yes,
and
he did.
It was a big...
Everybody went bonkers.
Yeah, it was crazy. But if I say if he ever develops a consistent jump shot, they will win an NBA championship. He is one of the most versatile players in the league. He can get to the rim, he can pass it, he can rebound it. If he could shoot it, it'd be.
Yeah, the Sixers have two of the most potentially dominant players in the league with Simmons, who reminds me a lot of Magic Johnson. But Magic could shoot the ball just enough to make his game, an all-time great level. Ben Simmons has that knack of big man that handles the ball as their point guard, and then obviously Joel Embiid being a really dominant force inside and steps out and knocks down the three as well. So yeah, the Sixers. Sorry to interrupt you, Jalen, but I just want to add on. He's right about the Sixers. They're right there on the cusp of becoming the top team in the East.
Yeah, definitely. The thing that hurt them, I feel like, is losing J.J. Redick. He was their shooter, could get hot in a hurry. I like them coming out of the East, but there's also some other teams that will surprise a lot of people. The Toronto Raptors, the defending champs, you can't sleep on them. They lost Kawhi Leonard, but they're also regaining back OG Anunoby. Pascal Siakam started to break out at the end of last year.
And he just signed an extension as well.
Yes, he did. That's good for them. Also, I think the Celtics, they won't be bad. I think they'll be hungry. They added Kemba Walker this offseason. Losing Al Horford kind of hurts them, but also I think the Nets will be in contention. And then if you say Victor Oladipo, if he can return to form before he got hurt for the Pacers, I mean, they were right there. Victor Oladipo is an all-star caliber guard when he's healthy, and he's what they lean on. That's their main offense for the Pacers. But yeah, coming out of the East, I like the 76ers this year.
Awesome. So I have the Bucks, and Jalen has the 76ers coming out of the East. On to the West. We'll finish up today with our Western Conference predictions and then our NBA Finals champion. My Western Conference prediction is I'm going to actually steer away from the duo teams such as the Lakers and the Clippers. I'm going to actually go with the Nuggets as the team that represents the Western Conference. They were, I believe, the 2 or 3 seed last year going into the playoffs. They do have their own form of a duo in Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, both of which are supremely talented players. Jokic is a walking triple-double at times. He's a big man that can pass out of the post and handle the point a little bit, and he's very versatile. I just think that they're the most well-rounded team, and I think their home floor is a big advantage. If they can get home court, that would help them a lot. If they have to go to Portland or to LA or to Golden State, then I may change my mind on that. But if they can get home court and continue that camaraderie and that team chemistry that is required to go deep into a tournament, I think the Nuggets are going to take on the Bucks in the championship series there in the NBA this year. So, and ultimately, I'm gonna basically jump on the bandwagon of Antetokounmpo, and I think that they'll be the NBA champions this year, and Milwaukee will be celebrating come June.
Excellent. Coming out of the West, as you mentioned, the Nuggets, they'll be very good. The Warriors, you can't sleep on them. Steph Curry is
Yeah, you can't count the Warriors out.
I mean,
they've been there and done that
yes,
too many times.
Yes. If Klay Thompson could return back to health before he got hurt, and if he can come back in time with D'Angelo Russell, if they can get that figured out, they got Draymond Green, who's a really good defender, and then they got a fifth who you can throw in there, and they can run with anybody. They can shoot out anybody. If they hit, if they're on, then they can shoot anybody out of the gym, and that's what makes them dangerous. Defense is a question mark. You have Draymond Green, but then you question the other three guards in Klay Thompson, if he's healthy, D'Angelo Russell, and Steph Curry. I like the Trailblazers a lot. They were in the Western Conference Finals, but fell short to the Warriors. They're going to be dominant. Adding Hassan Whiteside really helps. They'll be a sleeper team. I feel like not many people are talking about them, but it seems like they find a way to get it done in the playoffs.
Yeah,
almost every year.
Yeah, those two guards. Typically in the playoffs, I've learned at every level, not just NBA, but college, high school, good guard play really can take you a long way. Whether that be offensively or defensively, it seems like if you go back and look at a lot of the championship teams, those teams had dominant guard play. Whether that be the point guard or the shooting guards, they just always seem to have the ball in their hands at the end of the games, and I think that's what can separate, that crunch time, winning time from a win and a loss is having the ball in the right person's hands. So having Lillard and McCollum certainly could help them. Obviously Curry is a great guard, and there's a lot of great guards, but I think that the team that the guards play the best typically, that could have been one of the reasons why the Bucks didn't make it out last year, is because they didn't have those great the great guards that could extend, stretch the floor and shoot the three and things like that. So to get back to Jalen's prediction here, but yeah, I agree with you. I think those two guards can keep him in any game.
Definitely. Let me talk about the Clippers, which they open up with the Lakers. It's the big LA matchup. Kawhi Leonard coming back to his hometown and trading for Paul George. Then unloaded a hole of draft picks.
Basically, the next 5 years of draft, first-round picks.
They're counting on this. That's all we got to say.
Yeah.
I really like them. They're going to be gritty. They're going to come at you. They're going to be really good defensively. But another thing, like the Bucks, they're going to be good defensively. They're going to be able to drive on you. The question that I still have with them is their shooting. That's a big concern with me when you get into the playoffs. I mean, I know defense is a big one, but shooting, and anytime you can shoot a team, even when you're really good defenders, if you can shoot a team out of the gym, then you got to go with them. The Houston Rockets, for that matter, James Harden, and adding Russell Westbrook into the mix, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
When you have two of the most dynamic scorers in the NBA, it's going to be...
I think that duo could go either way. I think it could be great, and they gel and they take off and compete in the West.
Boom or
but
bust.
I also think it could be a disaster waiting to happen, and not enough, ball handling and possession to go around.
Yep.
So we'll see how that plays out.
That's a big question mark. But I like what they have. They got James Harden and they got Russell Westbrook. They got Eric Gordon. They got Clint Capella. They got multiple players who can step up and fill in the role if needed. It's the big question mark. It's the boom or bust. Like you said, it can go either way.
So who you got coming out, and who's going to take down the Sixers, or are the Sixers going to pull it out?
I got the Lakers coming away. I'm going with LeBron James. I'm going with Anthony Davis. Adding him to the mix. It's new blood. He's going to be hungry. He hasn't really had a pure shot at a NBA title. I mean, he's been with the Pelicans. They made the playoffs for a few years. Got beat by the Warriors, though. I'm going to go with him. I think Anthony Davis and these new-look Lakers can get LeBron James back to his old state, even at age 35, and he's going to have an MVP season. Avery Bradley's a tremendous defender. I was watching a preseason game, and he was picking up Steph Curry full court. Yeah. And that's what I like to see, because that's what they're going to need to be able to beat these teams in the West.
Yeah, I actually had a discussion with Coach Dalrymple about this exact thing, about picking up full court in the preseason, because he was talking about how hard Anthony Davis was playing, even in a preseason game, and what he can do defensively around the rim, and how hard he sprints the floor, to get down to the other side to get to the block and get some easy buckets. But the Lakers and the Sixers for Jalen. Yeah,
and I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Lakers winning the NBA championship.
Awesome. That would be LeBron's 4th title. Further cement his legacy as one of the top players to ever play the game, and certainly go a long way into that discussion of who's the greatest player to play the game. But yeah, we will cut it there. We're 20 minutes into this, and it was a good discussion about the NBA and what's to come this year for our league, and excited to see what happens. It starts tonight, the 22nd of October, with the 2 Los Angeles teams battling out in the Staples Center.
Yes, sir.
We'll come back and do this again closer to boys basketball season, and we'll try to get Coach Dalrymple to come on here and talk about his team, and we'll give you a girls update, as we probably would have played 5 or 6 games at that point, and we'll have this discussion again and see where we're at, with college basketball as well. And looking forward to coming back to you here in a few weeks, and we'll have Jalen back on here, and hopefully Coach Dalrymple to discuss the upcoming boys season, and we will be looking forward to bringing you that. So keep listening, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube, and we will be back better than ever down the road. Thanks, guys.
Work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard.
Work, 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 work.